On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, we have the defensive line preview. New number one, spoiler alert, in our position rankings, which I don't think is going to last actually very long because we're going to do linebackers next show. But defensive line preview, talked all about our expectations for a really good Mizzou defensive end room with Zion Young, Darris Smith, Damon Wilson all coming in and probably all going to be pretty good players next year. Talked about some defensive tackle stuff as well, kind of our concerns and things we're excited about. A lot of pros and cons to that room. So we went into all of that, had a good breakdown, how Mizzou's going to stop the run next season with some guys gone, what we think about Chris McClellan as kind of the maybe alpha in that defensive tackle room. So bunch of good conversation. Finish it off with quick hits. We had Tigers in the NFL for preseason, talked Cody Schrader, Mevis, Brady Cook, gave updates on all of them. Talked briefly about the Ethan Taylor update as well, with him not including Mizzou in his top six. So I had a discussion about that and a new hire in the football staff room as well. So good stuff from quick hits as well. Again, wrapping up the position previews. We're already onto the defensive side of the ball, only a few more, and then we'll be previewing Mizzou's season as we get set for Central Arkansas coming up in just a couple of weeks. So a lot of good stuff coming. Continue to subscribe. Give us a follow on TikTok too. We're getting back on there. Our TikTok is at the end of the video in our little outro. You can give us a follow over on there. Subscribe, drop us a like, comment on YouTube if you're watching. Feel free to comment on Spotify too if you're listening along. We appreciate anyone that drops some comments. We love to hear them. So yeah, enjoy. We'll get right into it. Defensive line preview. The Unwritten Rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule, presented on the Believe Network and brought to you by FanDuel. Today is Monday, August 11th. And guys, we're over to the defensive side of the ball for our position previews. We're doing defensive line today. But I also just, I had to look back and kind of looked at the schedule because we're going to finish up the previews for the defense. We only have like 5 more shows before we are recapping a Mizzou football game, which is just very, very exciting. I think it's like 8 or something. It doesn't feel like as many as it should. I know it's already August 10th. I don't know.
That's more than 5. More than 5.
I can do the full math later. I don't have the whole thing pulled up in front of me. It might be like 5 until we're previewing like the season and finally there. But we only have a couple more position previews to do. We're doing defensive line. I'm just getting so amped for the season to start. I was looking at the schedule the other day. It's also just very funny looking at Mizzou's schedule and seeing the ticket prices and seeing Central Arkansas $19 get in price, and then Kansas it's like $280, and just the differences with some of those games. You scroll down to Alabama, it's like the same thing. They're insanely expensive versus the week before. But side notes aside, we have a defensive line to preview for Mizzou football. A unit that has some very exciting newcomers, maybe the most exciting newcomer on the team, depending on who you ask, with Damon Wilson coming over from Georgia. But some key guys returning, Chris McClellan, Sterling Webb, Marquise Graciel, Justin Bodford, Elias Williams, Sam Williams, Jalen Marshall, and Jaden Frick are all back. On the defensive side, Zion Young, Darris Smith is back, of course, what kind of feels like a new addition because he was, of course, hurt last year. Then a bunch of newcomers, like I mentioned, Braylon Henderson comes over from Ohio. Damon Wilson, who I said from Georgia. Langdon Kitchen, one of the best names on the roster from Northwest Missouri State. Couple of freshmen, Javion Hilson, of course, a huge recruit get for Mizzou there. Dayton Hopkins, and then Nate Johnson, another transfer from App State. Kind of all in that defensive line room, playing different positions, of course. In Mizzou's system, you've got the defensive end, then you've got that joker position, which I know you guys are going to give some takes on. And then the 2 defensive tackles in that 4-2-5. What are you guys the most excited for when you look at this defensive line room as a whole? Is there a certain position you feel is the strongest player you're most excited to watch? Payton, I'll start with you. What are you the most excited for Mizzou's defensive line?
Yeah, it's got to be the D end room for me. I mean, that's where your possibly, obviously, the most important transfer on the team is Bo Pribula. He's competing for the starting quarterback job. That's always going to draw the most eyes. But Damon Wilson, I mean, this is a guy that I don't know if he would have started for Georgia. At the very least, would have been on the 2 deep for a Georgia D end room that is very noted for having just absurd athleticism and has produced so many draft picks over the last few years. He was in that room. A lot of draft analysts really like him. And he comes into the mix with guys like Zion Young, who was really, really productive in his first year at Mizzou. Another guy that I've seen a little bit of draft buzz around. Javion Hilson is a 5-star, depending on who you ask. At the very least, a high-end 4-star comes into the room. We'll see if he competes for snaps right away. I think Nate Johnson is a guy that you could see contribute a little bit. Darris Smith, he was someone who people were raving about. Again, another freak athlete from the Georgia D end room. Could be the guy that I think is most suited for the Joker role that, of course, Corey Batoon brings into the fold. I think they did a great job of maybe you won't get the production you got out of Johnny Walker alone last year, but I think they're going to be just fine rushing the passer. A lot of good names in there. A lot of guys I think could contribute really, really well out of that D end room.
I'll move inside just for my most exciting thing, and that's, seeing Marquise Gracial kind of finally enter the fold, and Jalen Marshall, another guy from that same class of 2022. Those guys were freshmen when we were seniors, and I remember seeing Marquise Gracial travel with the team going to the South Carolina game. Like, that was a bigger deal because he was a pretty loaded defensive tackle room those first couple of years, in 2022 to 2023 and 4, and he really just never found his step. And it seems like there's a lot of more conversation this year about him really stepping into that role, because you go in the transfer portal and you're not getting a Chris McClellan this year. If Chris McClellan goes down, I think you're in a pretty tough spot because you don't really have, another guy that tenure, another guy with that kind of, history behind him at the defensive tackle spot. You're sure you brought in Sterling Webb from New Mexico State last year and Braylon Henderson this year from Ohio. I just don't really think those are comparable in the sense of what Chris McClellan brings to that defensive tackle spot. So the excitement for me is just kind of seeing how this defensive tackle room really plays out. And if, Marquise Gracial can finally step into that spot, redshirt junior, senior in the classroom, same with Jalen Marshall. Both guys are from the different sides of the border of Missouri, with Marquise Gracial being from St. Louis and Jalen Marshall being from Overland Park. Feels like you've heard their names forever, and it's finally, their opportunity to actually battle for snaps and see the field very often this fall.
Yeah, I went actually in the interior part of the defensive line as well. I liked what I saw from a good amount of those guys. Chris McClellan, I'm a big fan of. 39 tackles, 2.5 sacks, a couple pass deflections, a forced fumble last year. I think Sterling Webb, I would like to see him improve a little bit more. I think he can maybe take a leap. We were talking before we kind of came on air, kind of about his build and being that, kind of smaller defensive tackle that can get to the passer. He's a little bit more kind of slippery. I think that combines well with a guy like Chris McClellan. I think there are some questions, Payton, you brought it up again before we came on about kind of the run stopping stuff with them. But I really like those two. And then, Gracial, 10 tackles last year. You're right, Kenny. He has been a name that has been on this roster for a long time, and you're kind of waiting for him to take that next step forward. And sometimes these guys can get sort of lost in the fold, when you bring these transfers in and keep getting jumped on the depth chart. So, seeing him take, another leap forward and get maybe some extended action in that defensive tackle unit, I think would be good and big for Mizzou. But I also kind of like where that defensive line, or where that defensive tackle room is at. I want to go back to Damon Wilson for a second, because I pulled a quote about him. I believe, I forget who, I actually forgot to attribute it. I forget if it was Drinkwitz or Batoon who said it. But it was, if Damon has a bad play right now, it's because he's overthinking things. It has nothing to do with athletic ability. All of that stuff is there. So I think now he's absorbed that playbook, and I think everything is slowing down for him. And you're starting to see a guy play a lot faster and more aggressive. When he plays that way, it's a good thing for us. So Payton, it just kind of speaks to what you said, that pure athleticism. What you're getting from, guys that come over from Georgia. They obviously recruit, at a very high level and usually hit very successfully on defensive ends. And so that's exciting for Wilson. I want to ask you guys kind of a depth chart question, because I was looking just on our lads. Obviously, that's, not the official depth chart, but it did slide Damon Wilson over to that Joker role and had Darris Smith actually behind him in that, with Zion Young at the other DN spot. Is that what you guys envision? Would that be your I guess ideal kind of starting on the ends for Mizzou? And I'm kind of curious how you factor a guy like Darris Smith in there, because he's someone who, it's understandable, might be sort of forgotten about, but he was almost as hyped, maybe not as quite as hyped as Damon Wilson was, but I remember him being a big deal when he came over last year from Georgia as well, and obviously got the injury, and it was disappointing not to see him. But where do you guys look in terms of the starters and kind of that depth? Who maybe is best suited for that Joker role? Because I know that's, you got that hybrid defensive end position. What do you guys kind of see for those two positions, maybe the two deep for them in your mind? Not that this is anything official.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Damon Wilson doing that. I mean, I don't think it's going to be just a cut and dry thing either. I think Batum, we saw it a lot last year. I think Batum will mix up the looks a lot. I think you'll see sometimes 5 guys on that D-line rushing the passer. And in that instance, I'd expect both Smith and Wilson to maybe be rushing the passer. But I could definitely see Wilson in that role. You got to be a supreme athlete to do it. I mean, Wilson is obviously that at 6'4", 250, more than capable, I think, of doing anything that's needed out of the Joker role. If that's kind of step back and cover the flat or something like that, I think he's more than capable of doing that. I mean, Damon Wilson is kind of, I think, as he goes, the D end room goes a little bit, even though I do think it's a deep room and it can survive if they don't have him on the field. I think he kind of pushes the ceiling up considerably. I mean, this is a guy that left Georgia, a place where he might have started. People just all assumed he was going to Ohio State when he entered the portal, and Mizzou was able to swoop in and get him. This is it's a coup, really, more than anything else. I think it really does elevate the ceiling, whether he's just playing a straight D end role, which I kind of don't expect now that I think about it. I think that's Zion Young's role. Zion Young, I don't think, is a guy you ask to play the Joker role. I think he's strictly a pass rusher. I think Damon Wilson probably is capable of doing more than just that if they want him to. That said, I still think Darris Smith kind of has the best build for that. I mean, I remember seeing the photo of Darris Smith's arms. I just kind of can't get that out of my head if he drops back into pass coverage a little bit and he needs to swat down a ball. There's a lot of different ways you can manage this D end room, and I'm excited to see just kind of how Batum manages all this athleticism, all this production that you might have on your hands, and just mix up the looks.
I think you add into that too, Payton, about the sizes of them. Zion Young's coming in this season, 6'5", 262. And that's a little bit more of the guy who's going to put his hand in the dirt and just rush the passer or stand up to. And then you have guys like you're talking about with that physique of Damon Wilson, where he's 6'4", 250, and then Darris Smith right behind him at 6'5", 232. Now, those are more athletic, sizes for the height and their weight. And so I think that really works out. There's a lot of guys with length, like you're talking about, Payton. Dayton Hopkins, who's a true freshman, who's gotten some serious looks just in camp and got a lot of praise from Brian Early. I doubt we'll see too much of him this season, but he's another guy that could probably fill that Joker role at one point. He's 6'6", 237 as a true freshman, and incredible length, and he has a very athletic background with his parents playing athletics at Nebraska. At Langdon Kitchens, another guy that's been talked about, someone who can really fluctuate around that defensive line at 6'6", 264. It's even bigger, but his length is also crazy too. I mean, there's just a lot of guys with long arms in this room that could really just mold into a Joker right behind those two Georgia transfers.
I'm going back to and attributing my quote. It was actually Brian Early, who's the edge rushers coach, who said that about Damon Wilson, which also makes sense. And he's another guy who, will have an interesting task on his hand, like Payton said, with just who you're going to play when and where and at which spot, because there is a lot of versatility there. So it's a theme I'm noticing that will be a strength along the edge for Mizzou. When I was thinking about maybe concerns or questions with this unit, obviously, Kenny's mentioned it. You have to replace a guy in Johnny Walker, 43 tackles. He led this team with 9.5 sacks last year. that was one thing that came to mind, was just replicating as a team the rushing the passer production that Johnny Walker gave. I hope they're not roughing the passer or leading in that. That would be bad news. But that was one thing that came to mind. But, from the sound of it, and even kind of just us breaking it down, especially with those edge rushers, it kind of feels like Mizzou's going to be fine in that department. What maybe concerns you guys the most, or you have the biggest questions over? We talked about the D tackle room too. I think you can spin that as a strength or maybe a weakness or question for Mizzou, depending on how you want to look at it. But what do you guys raise in terms of questions about this unit, whether broadly speaking or maybe some specific stuff with depth? What do you guys have questions about?
I wouldn't even say it's a huge concern, because I don't think Mizzou got run over by any means last year, but I kind of question who is going to be like your primary run stoppers on the D tackle room. Obviously, I think Gracial is very suited for that. I think that's kind of when you, like Kenny said, this is going to be a big opportunity for Gracial to step up and get even more snaps. But we did see him a decent amount last year, and a lot of that was on short yardage situations where it felt like they needed to stop a potential run play. Chris McClellan and Marquise Gracial, are literally basically identical builds. I will say Jalen Marshall being 6'4", 335 blows my mind. Goodness gracious. That is a large individual. I'd like to see if maybe he could be a guy that steps up and stops the run, because you look at Sterling Webb, 6'1", 285. That's not a guy that I think you can depend on to stop the run in the SEC. You look at Braylon Henderson. I don't think he's a guy that'll step in. Elias Williams, I don't even think we'll really see the field a whole lot. So I kind of just question who's going to be your guys that kind of come in and like really just plug a couple gaps, like eat a couple O linemen, and just allow guys to get into the backfield and make stops. And on top of, just stopping the run, I think Chris McClellan, maybe he's not an every down D tackle, but I do think he's probably your best guy in that room, who is going to kind of step up and be his primary co-star, I think, because I think McClellan is the most capable guy of stopping the run, and he's a good pass rusher. It's kind of just a matter of filling in that second spot next to him, and that's probably something where you rotate D tackles in. That's what we've seen Mizzou do pretty much every year since 2023, back when you had 4 legitimate guys getting starter level snaps during the Cotton Bowl year. Maybe you see something similar on that. I do think Chris McClellan is far and away going to be your leader in snaps at the D tackle position. But I do think you'll see a lot of rotating in next to him.
I know some people don't really care too much about the, who's the vocal leader sometimes just at a position like defensive tackle, but I'm interested to see who really steps up as just that vocal presence. There's not many guys behind Chris McClellan that have, the snaps that he does. And I don't necessarily know if Chris McClellan would be the guy. He's the way he plays too. You just watch him. He just feels like he's on his own island. And he's a very emotional player. I think that's fair to say too, with the a lot of the, I wouldn't say theatrics, but the way he kind of celebrates himself when he gets a big play. But I think one guy that maybe could be, more of a vocal presence at, losing Christian Williams, who there's a lot of good stories we've talked about, him picking up the trash just around the locker room, holding his teammates accountable, and, getting on them for different things. Braylon Henderson is one that keeps kind of getting some positive reviews. I knew he's a graduate. It's his last year of college football, coming over from Ohio. There's a lot of fun energy behind him from what I read about the scrimmage notes, and the guys like what they're seeing just from him as a person. And I think that would be a big positive for this defensive tackle room, because there's a lot of guys that are maybe unproven, coming in this year, and you don't really have someone behind Chris McClellan who could really be that leader for this team. And, I don't know if Sterling Webb really has a vocal presence, just don't hear too much about these defensive tackles. One more just concern, but I'm interested to see what comes of some of these smaller defensive tackles at the same time. I spoke with David Blackwell, who's the defensive tackles coach, and took over some of the defensive line duties as well, with Al Davis no longer with the program. And he talked about the juice roll, which is for these kind of smaller defensive tackles and weights. Elias Williams, who transitioned from defensive end, 6'3", 261 pounds. It was something that came up this summer too with recruits, especially in that final official visit weekend. There was a lot of defensive tackles on campus. So I'm very intrigued by that because a lot of these SEC teams, the good SEC teams, have two types of running backs. Ones that will be elusive, and one that will just run you over. So I do wonder what happens, for a lot of those juice rolls, maybe those kind of really nimble and athletic defensive tackles that can move their feet, and see how that kind of transitions with different types of running backs that are in the backfield running through the guards and through the tackles.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You have to have kind of a balance, right? I think the Sterling Webb conversation is the best example of that for Mizzou, where you want some guys, like teams are going, even with like linebackers, teams are going a little bit smaller, a little bit faster, can get in the backfield quicker. But, you're never going to hear people be mad about having big dudes in the trenches that can, eat up space and block out those running lanes. And that goes back to Payton. I was curious, so I looked it up while you're talking about Mizzou's run defense last year on PFF. I was looking at the best kind of players at run defense grade. Nick Rodriguez, actually a linebacker, had the best run defense grade last year, 80.6 in about 83 snaps. In terms of like the defensive line, edge rushers, Zion Young was actually third, 79.9. Eddie Kelly last year was at 76. Johnny Walker at 75. They're both gone. And then you get into Christian Williams, 73. Chris McClellan had a 70.9 run defense grade. So yeah, there is some, I think, room for improvement, or I guess finding that production in terms of stopping the run that, is going to be lost with, Eddie Kelly was a bigger edge rusher. Obviously Johnny Walker was just productive all over the field. So yeah, you're going to have to, I think that's a natural question. You're going to have to see how well Mizzou stops the run. Because I think rushing the passer seems to be a little bit more of this team's strength right now. And we'll see how the rest of that kind of comes along, but very curious to see it. Bold predictions. What do you guys got? I can go first too. I have a Chris McClellan one. Cause I figured one of y'all would probably make something about Damon Wilson. I have a Chris McClellan sacks thing. I was just kind of looking. He was actually second on the team in 2.5 sacks. And I just wanted to be really bold. I'm actually not really confident at all in this one. But I decided to say Chris McClellan leads Mizzou in sacks, which actually, the more I think about it, it would probably be a bad sign. That won't
happen, Jack. I'm sorry.
It would probably be it would probably be a really bad sign if it does. He had 2.5 sacks last year. He combined for 3.5 in his 2 seasons at Florida. I'm just gonna say up. It's like I'll leave that as the bold prediction, but I do think there's a world where he kind of ups his sack total. If him and Sterling Webb can really find a good kind of combination as the two defensive tackles, I think he could get to the passer a little bit more. But I don't think it comes true. Listen, we wanted bold. I went real bold. That's what I decided to settle on. But I will say,
I like I said, I do think that McClellan is the true alpha in that D tackle room. I think he's the best player in that D tackle room, like head and shoulders right now. And I am a fan of his. He had a really decent year rushing the passer last year. But I like you said, I think if he does lead the team in sacks and it's not one of those D ends, that's probably not a good sign, because even though it is a deep D end room, I think you'll get production from all over the place. I still think at least one of those guys has to really step up and lead the team in sacks.
Can I float this as a I guess you guys could maybe steal it as a bold prediction if you want. So Johnny Walker,
but I'll hear yours.
Johnny Walker was at 9.5 last year. Does a single guy on Mizzou's roster get over 10?
No, no, I don't think so. But here's the thing I'll say about that. I'll quote the best sports movie ever made in Moneyball. We can't replace Johnny Walker Jr. What we can do is recreate him in the aggregate, and that's what I think Mizzou is going to do. Mizzou has done that multiple times. They did it with the D tackle room in the Cotton Bowl year. They lost Darris Robinson after that year and tried to do it a bit more last year with the D end room. I think this year, though, you'll see a lot more production just from all over the place in the D end room. My prediction is in the D end room as well. I will say I do think it's going to be similar to 2023, where you get a random like big Austin Firestone sack. Like at a certain point this year, I'm sure Langdon Kitchen is going to have a crazy big sack.
Oh man, you stole that. that was on my mind.
Well, here I'll adjust it. I do think you'll see stuff like that. Like someone's going to be a Joe Moore with a couple sacks, but the two guys I think really step up here are going to be Zion Young, who had 2.5 sacks last year, but I think everyone can agree was still pretty productive, even if the sack numbers don't blow you away. Damon Wilson had 3 sacks last year. I think those two both get more than 4 sacks this year. So while I do think it's going to be deep D end room, going to be sacks all over the place, I think those two really get the bulk of the production, a big chunk of it, and I think they both finish with more than 4 sacks.
That was I thought Landon Kitchen would fit that Austin Firestone prototype. I'm gonna go with something like you're talking about Joe Moore. You know, you talk about a lot of those guys that are probably gonna have a lot of sacks this year. Payton, I think, and this might be just recency bias, just from what I read from the practice notes and the scrimmage notes. But I think Nate Johnson is going to have a Joe Moore type role this season. I think he'll definitely fitt into a spot where he was just flying over the field. He got a lot of positive reviews just in his time in the scrimmage. That might be in part to a lot of those defensive ends weren't playing or were very limited at this time. And Damon Wilson and Zion Young and not a lot of guys, Darris Smith, weren't really seeing the field too much in the scrimmage. And a lot of the offensive line was kind of, mix and match. But he was all over the field. He got a sack that resulted in a safety on Sam Horn. He looked like he was just everywhere. And I think that's going to be something where people probably don't know too much about Nate Johnson coming over from App State in his 3rd year of college football. But I think there's an opportunity for him to really see the field and make some of those impact plays, because a lot of people don't know who he is.
Who do you think is going to be the Niles Gaddy of this team? Niles Gaddy had 4 sacks on that 2023 team.
Do you think Niles Gaddy and Austin Firestone are kind of similar in the sense of contributions?
Oh, Gaddy was much more productive, just looking at the numbers. But I get what
I know
you
he
mean.
got a defensive line
player of the week.
Player of the week, yeah. That's a good question.
Maybe that's so. Here's what the stats were in 2023 when we saw a lot of rotating. It was Darius Robinson had 8.5 sacks. That was the first season. That was the only season he played primarily D end, if I'm not mistaken. Johnny Walker was his co-star with 5. Niles Gaddy was 3rd with 4 sacks. And then Tyron Hopper, Dalen Carnell, they each had 3. Realus George had 2.5. You have to go down to Austin Firestone had 1, but it was a monster one. That's why we all remember it. It was the one against Vanderbilt. Joe Moore had 1.5 or just 1. Wow, I thought it was more than that, but they're like we said, that's a lot of contributions from a lot of places. So,
Kenny, what do you want to predict with Nate Johnson formally if he's in that Joe Moore?
Wow.
I guess we want to put a number to it.
Say 3 sacks on the year.
3 sacks.
Yeah. I was looking at that Niles Gaddy one because the Middle Tennessee game is the one where he had.
Yeah, I think it was like one really big game where a lot of that came from.
Yeah, he had 2 sacks in that game. So that was like his big game.
I will also say, if I had to pick like a guy that is like the 3rd leading sack getter in that DN room, I would probably pick Darris Smith. I still am very high on him. Such an athletic freak. I really hope they're able to mold him into something.
Yeah, I think, again, it's just going to be fascinating to see what Brian Early and Corey Batoon do in terms of how they divvy up the snaps to him, Wilson, and Zion Young, because I think all 3 of those guys are obviously really talented, and with Young being kind of the outlier in terms of his build, and obviously he's been at Mizzou for a little bit longer. Yeah, Kenny, Nate Johnson, we didn't talk much about him. 75.9 defensive grade, 78.6 pass rushing grade. He had a solid year last year at App State. PFF
he was the return in the DJ Smith deal.
Yeah, he's the player to be named. The player to be named later. Good call. All right, there you go. There's some bold predictions. Before we go to quick hits, where do we want to rank the room? So just as a reminder, we currently have running backs at number 1, wide receivers at number 2, tight ends at number 3, offensive line at number 4, and quarterbacks at number 5 in terms of our feeling toward them. There's not really I didn't really put like a full definition on what the ranking actually represents, but we're ranking the positions. Where do you guys want to put the defensive line? Is there an argument for 1 here?
See, I'd split D tackles and D ends up for this though, because I feel differently about those rooms.
We can do that. There are no rules
think
here.
The D end room I feel pretty good about. D tackle I feel fine about. I just think it's a little more up in the air. So who do we have one? We have running backs.
Running backs. I wouldn't hate putting defensive ends one and then.
Yeah, I honestly think I trust the DNs more than that. I think I trust the DNs the most on the team, arguably. Maybe second most on the team. We'll get into that later, though. DNs, I think I'd go 1. D tackles, obviously, I'd go above O-line and QB. I'd probably go above tight ends and below receivers, I think. So about whatever it below receivers, above tight ends is.
That would put it 4.
4, but then DNs goes on top. So is that 5 then? Or
no,
is
it'd still be 4. It'd be
Okay.
defensive ends, running backs, wide receivers, defensive tackles, tight ends, offensive line, quarterbacks. Are we good with 4?
I think I agree with that.
All right. We're going defensive tackles 4. So we have a new number 1 in the position rankings. But like Payton said, I have a feeling that one's not going to last long. I am very excited to talk linebackers, which we'll do in our next position preview on Friday. But for now, we will finish off the show with quick hits.
Water right now.
Okay, quick hits time. Really hope the recording started and caught the end of
I
that.
can hear him doing it.
What's he doing? Just if it didn't catch it, what is he
Pretty sure my big black lab Jake is drinking toilet water right now. I think I can hear him lapping the water out of the toilet bowl right now.
You might hear some. Yeah, let the dog live. You might hear some barking in my background at some point because it's storming where I am right now, and my dogs might bark at the thunder. So, anyway, dog things. Quick hits time. We have Ken Sports Shorts. Kenny, no quiz.
Daily Dozen Trivia. I think it's a lot of fun. We'll start with the NFL.
You think it's a lot of fun because you cheat?
Rodrigo Blankenship was the kicker for this AFC team from 2020 to 2022.
Payton, how many times do we tell you? Let the man read the question.
We don't need it. We can plow through that one.
MLB, while this Venezuelan pitcher never made an all-star game, he won 60 games for Cleveland from 2015 to 2018 and led the AL in wins in 2017. I know what this is.
Is this Carrasco or is it Salazar?
I think it's Carrasco.
You don't know how to spell Carrasco. Oh my God.
How do you spell Carrasco?
Isn't it Carrasco? Isn't it?
Yes.
C-A-R?
It's so funny.
College basketball. Richard Jefferson and Gilbert Arenas helped this school make the 2001 national championship.
Okay, Payton, don't say it. See,
probably not
Kenny,
a good time right now.
Kenny, do you know?
It's not USC.
It's not USC.
I don't know then.
You know Payton, right?
Pretty sure I know, but
Okay, I do know. I do know.
2000.
Yeah, also probably not a good time right now.
Is it Arizona?
It is Arizona.
Yeah, okay.
History. The Pastry War typically refers to an 1838 to 1839 conflict between Mexico and this European country.
I believe France.
Pastry War. I would guess Spain maybe, but I mean
Could be
France
right.
is known
I
for their
honestly
pastries.
am not for sure.
It's correct.
Oh, nice.
France. Okay.
Celebrity mashup for the YouTube viewers. That is
Jay Leno.
This person looks scary.
Jay Leno. I don't know the face.
The face is the guy from Malcolm in the Middle.
Bryan Cranston.
What is that kid's name?
I know. It's the actual kid.
Did you say
I-
Bryan
Malcolm.
Cranston?
Yeah.
It's oh my
Mr.
gosh, it's Frankie something. Frankie
Frankie Muniz?
Muniz.
Muniz?
Boom! Oh my gosh.
Nice, fellas.
Snacks and candy with a half pink and half blue color scheme, packaging, and logo. This candy was originally sugar-coated discs packaged in rolls, but now has chewy, gummy, and ropes varieties.
Is it like gummy worms or something?
Smarties? No, Smarties aren't pink. It's just half pink and half blue.
The color scheme. That's the packaging.
Oh,
Is it like Lifesavers?
that was what I was thinking, but I don't remember the packaging being half pink and half blue. Nerds? It's not
Are there-
nerds, is it?
Lifesaver ropes.
Might be nerds.
I don't
Wait,
think
is it
so.
nerds? Yeah. Oh.
Apparently, that's
Chewy
not an answer.
gummy rope variants. Sweet tarts.
Wait, can you type in another candy?
Oh,
Is
it could be
bugging?
Sweet Tarts.
Oh, Sweet Tarts. That's a good guess.
Oh, look. Sweet Tart Ropes is another one.
Kazoolas?
Correct.
Hey,
Television. With its original run from 2001 to 2005, this Disney Channel cartoon followed a 14-year-old African girl named Penny and her family.
African-American girl.
Sorry, African-American girl. I think I know this one.
I don't. I was a little too young for this.
I think it's a Proud Family.
Oh, is it?
I honestly, I've never seen it.
There was a movie and there was a peanut allergy in the movie. That's why I always remember it.
Let's go.
Movies. After District 9 and Elysium, Neil Blom. You know this one already?
Yeah.
Blomkamp directed this 2015 sci-fi action film.
Oh, no, I
following
don't.
an artificial general intelligence law enforcement robot who gets captured and taught by gangsters.
Is this RoboCop?
No, I do know this.
Pacific
I
Rim?
do know it.
That keeps coming up for me to watch on Netflix.
I was gonna say you should. Have you ever seen Pacific Rim? You'd love Pacific Rim.
Me?
It's
I
just
know
like
this.
it's just like if Transformers and like
Boxing.
horrible weather events collided. Like it's
Yeah.
just a.
I can't
it's a
think
fun
of the
watch.
name, and I'm gonna kick.
I'll come back to
myself.
it.
I think I've seen half of it.
Music. This rock band is most known for their 1983 song and #1 hit, Owner of a Lonely Heart, but also had its with Roundabout and Love Will Find a Way. This,
Is it yes, it is. Yes. I can't think of the movie name, dude.
Yeah, we
gotta get it.
9 for 9. This is crazy.
I can't think of the movie name.
What
I
was
know
it? Like, give us a hint. Like, try to get us the.
I can't think of a hint. I know I've seen.
I don't think RoboCop is that.
It's not RoboCop. It's not RoboCop. I don't think.
Oh wait,
Is it
what's
RoboCop?
the
There was a remake.
What's the movie where they like have the
No, it's
robots
not.
fighting?
That's not that one. That's Real Steel.
Oh yeah,
That's what I was thinking. A Pacific Rim was.
Oh, but what is this? I know this movie. I've
District
seen
9 was
it.
crazy. Should we just
I
go
don't
RoboCop?
know, man. I can't think of it.
They remade RoboCop.
If it's
They
RoboCop,
did, but I
I'm gonna
don't
be
think
upset.
it's this one. Or maybe it is. Try it.
What's Chappie? What is that a
iRobot.
movie?
What was
No, it's
iRobot?
definitely not iRobot.
It's not iRobot. It's not iRobot. That's the Will Smith one, I believe.
Dang.
Double dip.
You can double dip. Try again.
Try Chappie. Maybe it is Chappie.
Is Chappie a movie or is he a character?
Yes, it is a movie.
Oh,
We get
got
it.
it.
It was Chappie.
We got
Yeah.
it. Wow,
Nice.
look at us.
9 for 9.
The NFL question. Yeah, wow. Wait, we got to revel in that a little bit more. What was that? Was the
Only 22% of people know Carlos Carrasco. That makes me sad.
Cookie.
Cookie Carrasco, man. Him, Danny Salazar, Corey Kluber.
I didn't
Imagine
know,
if they had that in the 2016 World Series, they might have won it.
58% of people knew who the other country in the pastry war was. That's kind of surprising.
I mean, do you know what a pastry
Pastries
is?
France makes sense.
I guess maybe I overthought it. I was just kind of like,
Sounds like
they
you
are
did.
known for their pastries. That's fair.
I'm a little
Only-
surprised that Yes was only.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. I don't know music very much. I knew that.
Owner of a Lonely Heart is a very famous song.
Roundabout was like
I
a
didn't-
big time like
Roundabout
know.
gave it away for me.
Theme
That's like an
song.
easy one.
I didn't know that
Yeah.
one. The NFL question prompted me. I looked at the FanDuel Super Bowl odds. There are 3 teams that are all plus 700 to win the Super Bowl. Can you name them on FanDuel?
like on the dot.
They're all plus 700.
Is that the is that the
Chiefs?
best odds?
That's the best odds.
Yeah, it's the best
okay.
odds.
Chiefs.
The Chiefs are plus
Eagles.
850. Not one of them.
Colts.
Did you say the
Sorry.
Colts?
I meant
Eagles.
Bills. Sorry, wrong.
The
blue
Bills
team.
and Eagles are 2 of them.
Ravens.
Ravens is the 3rd one. All better odds than the Chiefs.
It was only 3.
It was those 3. Chiefs are plus 850. Lions plus 1100. Rams plus 1900 for the Super Bowl. All right. We will have Tigers in the. We'll move on to Tigers in the Wild. Kenny, what's your Tiger in the Wild?
My Tiger in the Wild goes to Harrison Mevis, who scored 11 points in his preseason debut with the Jets. That's his Jets preseason debut. Excuse me. And he scored more points than the opponent. Packers only put up 10 in this game. He was 3 for 3 from field goals.
Yeah.
Inside the 20 to 29, 1 inside the 30 to 39. Didn't get into the 40s. We know that's a little tricky for some Mizzou kickers in just recent years, but made 2 extra points as well. Pretty clean sheet for the thicker kicker.
I just don't understand that. Like, like kickers nowadays, and I mean, I guess maybe I think this because of Mizzou kickers have struggled with it. Kickers are so good now from 50 plus, but you're right, like are bad from 40 to 49. I don't understand that.
There was a 70 yesterday on Saturday.
What are we doing?
I think it's bad for the game personally.
Well, you just think special teams are bad for the game, so
I don't, but do you really like seeing that if a team gets to the 45-yard line, they have a pretty decent chance of winning it? That sucks in an end of game situation as a fan.
I mean, you're talking to the wrong guys. As someone who loves kicking and Kenny, who's a special teams.
You have to move a whole 30 yards on an end of game drive and you have a chance to win. That stinks.
Payton, did you see who made a kick for the Bills this weekend?
Yes, Ray Davis did. Ray Davis, Kenny and I's
most underrated.
Claimed he was just the most underrated running back in the SEC when he was at Vanderbilt, and we were right.
You guys
look at him now.
Wow, that's a good. You guys are on that early. He kicked a field goal.
Yeah, he attempted one. He made it.
That's an emergency kicker for them.
Like knuckleball. Like it was pretty brutal, but he made it.
Hey, they don't put photos on the scorecard, is the old saying, even though that doesn't apply to football. It's a golf saying.
What's your Tiger in the Wild, Payton?
My Tiger in the Wild specifically is going to be Cody Schrader, who caught a touchdown pass in the Rams preseason game on Saturday against the Dallas Cowboys. Cody Schrader, I don't know like his odds of making the roster or anything. I don't know the Rams running back room, but can't hurt to score a touchdown in the preseason. He kind of highlighted a big day for Mizzou on Saturday. Like Kenny mentioned, Harrison Mevis kicked. Brady Cook also played in that Jets Packers preseason game. He went 6 for 8 for 62 yards, no touchdowns, no picks against the Packers. He played before. He's competing with Adrian Martinez, who a lot of Mizzou fans will remember, I'm sure, for that K-State game in 2021. Yeah, 22. He's competing with him for the QB3 job in New York. Brady Cook played before him. Obviously, that doesn't mean anything, I don't think, but it was notable. Also, Armand Membu played in that game. Seemed like he played pretty well. I don't believe he gave up any pressures or anything. And other Mizzou performances that I saw, there was Tyler Beatty. He ran for 32 yards on 5 carries. He was the Denver Broncos leading running back in rushing yards in that game against the San Francisco 49ers. So very busy day on Saturday for Mizzou.
This is just I'm getting excited because now we're fully back to Tigers in the NFL, and that's always one of my favorite segments once football season starts. So some good updates. Kenny, do you also take issue with this tweet caption? Powers his way in. That doesn't feel like the right adjective here. I
also think he looks really slow in this video. I'm sorry. I don't know.
He had to stop and catch it and then get going again.
I know. It just really keeps reminding me of the Georgia game. It's like he just slows down.
Why are we even thinking of? He's a cotton.
It's a great play. I mean, he found space and he found the hole. Didn't even get touched.
Cody Schrader's never been a burner. I don't think that anyone would dispute that. He's not a quick guy.
He played at the D2 level.
Yes. Did you know he didn't get a scholarship from Mizzou at first?
I just think the powers his way in is just the incorrect way to describe his play.
Just maybe find space.
Yeah.
I don't know. He didn't really power.
Cody Schrader scores. Is that better for you too?
Payton recreated the Cody Schrader run against Georgia on Thoreau.
I will never ever let that footage see the light of day.
Video to be posted later.
I'm gonna tweet it.
Don't tweet it.
We might tweet it.
Tweet it. It's fine.
I'll tweet it.
We might tweet it.
I look like a doofus in it.
Tiger in the Wild is going to Marquise Davis. This is first of all a shameless plug. We're trying to get back on the TikTok game, and so go follow us on TikTok. We just posted a TikTok about Marquise Davis from our running back episode, and Drinkwitz had some high praise for him. He spoke to some media members after Mizzou's second scrimmage yesterday, and one of the headliners from that was that Ahmad Hardy did not play, which is a good thing. Mizzou said, or Drinkwitz said, they thought they had seen enough from him in the first scrimmage that they didn't need to keep kind of playing him, but that allowed some of the backup running backs to get some touches. And he said he thought Marquise Davis stole the show with his effectiveness running the football. So I think we should give ourselves a pat on the back, guys. We were right. We talked about him as a kind of maybe a potential goal line threat this year, someone who could get some reps as a freshman. So good to see. Would you like to shout out T-Man, Kenny?
Yeah, he had some great reps.
There you go. Tavares Jones was good as well. The other, I know, headliner here from Drinkwitz's comments was he still said he thought that the quarterback battle would someone would separate themselves. And he said it's still a neck and neck race between Sam Horn and Bo Perbula. I don't know what you guys make of that, but any other things you guys noted from what he said after the scrimmage?
I really don't love that. About the quarterback room. I think it's that by now you'd really like to have some clarity on that. I think if it stretches into week 1, it's a bad sign. I'll be honest with you. I really think that it would be best if one of those two, whether it be Horn or Perbula, just is able to separate themselves soon. I think that I just think the longer it drags on, the worse of a sign that it is, to be honest.
Yeah. Kenny, you have any thoughts from what Drinkwitz said, or just scrimmage stuff, quarterback battle, Marquise Davis, your guy T-Man, any of it?
Yeah, I wish they could open up a little bit more about, you read the notes from the practice and you saw a lot of, Sam Horn kind of commanding the pocket and Bo Perbula doing a lot of rollouts. So I was wondering if there's a lot of design plays that really let Bo move with his legs, and didn't get to really see that maybe in the questions per se. But I think it'll be very interesting just to see if it really comes down to they choose one, will there be like options early on in the season where, they used Bo in the same sense that Penn State did these past couple of years, where a lot of the offense was, when he was in the game, was designed around what he could do with his legs.
Yeah, I think both can be true at the same time. I think I'm ultimately with Payton in that I don't love that there hasn't been a separator yet. You can spin it, and coaches are going to spin it in this way, that it's just that they're both playing high level football, but you get very fearful when you get closer to the season of the whole, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have any, which of course is not a situation Mizzou wants to find themselves in, but we'll see. But yeah, those are just some takeaways from the second scrimmage. And Marquise Davis is still playing well, is playing well. So that's fun to see. Headlines. Kenny, do you have a headline?
Yes, my headline comes from Joe Tipton at Rivals. Good guy, by the way. Top 25 overall recruit Ethan Taylor is down to 6 schools. Did you guys want to see the graphic, or are you okay without seeing the graphic?
No, we don't need the graphic. I don't think we need the graphic. This is not good. This is not good news.
Okay. Well, Ethan Taylor is going to play his senior season at Link Academy in Branson, Missouri. Announced a top 6 of Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan State, Oklahoma, and Oregon. Comes a little bit surprised that Missouri didn't crack that list. He's originally from Kansas, so not far away at all. He went to Shawnee East, if I'm not mistaken. I can actually probably see it right here.
You're thinking of Sean East, the former guard for.
Who's playing well. I'm surprised no one took him. Shawnee Mission Northwest.
The Cougars, I believe.
Yeah, very good basketball school. Actually, so good that his coach wouldn't let me talk to him at one point because they had lost a game and he didn't want any media talking to the players.
He's got to be in the lab. He can't be doing
no distractions.
Can't be doing no media.
Yes, Ethan Taylor did not name Mizzou to that list. A little bit of surprise because I talked to his mom and even a team source a while ago saying that they're trying to get something set up this fall, and nothing really came of it. Even Joe listed here the first offer when he's talking about prior cutting down to his list. Taylor also held offers from Missouri, Purdue, Kansas State, and then among others on that list. Oklahoma is one that he brought up to me. I know some people were a little bit surprised because OU basketball hasn't really been on any positive trends, but it's definitely a school that he was interested in. Just a little bit surprised Missouri didn't crack the list.
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise. Everything we were hearing was so positive up until the moment he named a top 6. That would be a real kick in the gut if we see him go from really kind of talking up Mizzou for a while to all of a sudden he winds up at one of Oklahoma, Kentucky, or Kansas. Definitely a bummer there, but we still have seen Mizzou linked to a lot of other great players in this class. Chronister is one, Reed, Tony Bryant, I think, is the big one that we've seen them linked to a lot. So still time to round out what would be an insanely good class.
Yeah, I don't tend to lose sleep over things like this, unless it's I think of like a Ryan Wingo situation where it's like coming down to the last day. He didn't name his top 6. Sorry, Payton. Sorry.
That's not even the same sport. There was no reason to bring that up, Jack. Come on.
I was trying to say when it actually gets like, oh, I'm really locked into
James John Knowlton, everyone.
Listen, whatever. But it is interesting. I mean, he scheduled visits to all those finalists. So if Mizzou wants to try and climb back in that race, it's going to be difficult. But I think you're right, where there's a lot of other targets still out there. And yeah, we'll keep monitoring that for Mizzou men's basketball on the recruiting. But a bit of a surprise with Ethan Taylor. Payton, do you have some more fun news for us for your headline?
Yes, this headline comes straight from MUTigers.com. Mizzou football hires Gaurav Verma as Director of Football Strategy and Finance. Drinkwitz, I believe in the past, had said that Mizzou wasn't going to hire a straight GM, I think, but if they could find someone to kind of take care of the business side, then great. And they've seemingly found that man in Gaurav Verma. They list his responsibilities in this article. As part of his responsibilities, Verma will lead strategic planning in 5 key areas: roster, scholarship, and revenue cap planning, talent evaluation and scouting operations, recruiting calendar and logistics, analytics and recruiting infrastructure, compliance, NIL, and interdepartmental collaboration. Try saying that 4 times fast. He is not the GM. Again, I didn't say he was the GM, but he has a lot of similar responsibilities as a GM would have. But I think it's good. He takes the onus off of Drinkwitz in that department. Drink can kind of focus more on just the on-field stuff. Verma also, he has a pretty good track record. He's worked in the NFL. He earned an MBA in finance from the MIT Sloan School of Management in 2023, bachelor's in economics and political science from Johns Hopkins. This guy is smarter than me.
Sound analysis.
I don't know. I didn't say he was the GM. I don't know why we put that on the ticker there.
We need to use the ticker more. I'm a fan of the ticker. Ticker's good. Yeah, this is exciting news. It's very funny that Drinkwitz is going out of his way to say he's not the GM when it sounds like it's a lot of GM roles, but he's not the GM. It's not the GM. But this is good. I think all of this for Mizzou football, anything in Mizzou athletics like doing things like this is good. You need people who are smarter than, regular folk to understand the money side of all this and where that all fits in. So I think this is great. But
it is important to note also he will report directly to Drinkwitz. So that's kind of a key thing that they put in there. And also that NFL experience I was talking about, I was looking for this. He recently worked with the Denver Broncos as a salary cap specialist. So this is a guy that I think could really help the program a lot, it seems like.
Yeah, big news for Mizzou football in the back end department. My headline, I don't really have one other than Stadium Construction Project Live Cam. Guys, the construction terms are back. Mizzou tweeted an update about Memorial Stadium, and I had to instantly gravitate to the live cam and the updates. Ready for this, guys? This is huge stuff. The headline, Furrow is still being built. Ready? They got, let's see, week of August 4th. Level 1 concrete masonry unit block and plumbing carriers continue to be installed. Huge, absolutely huge for the plumbing. Overhead mechanical engineering and plumbing and insulation of piping is being coordinated closely. Amazing. Peyton, you got any thoughts there? That's
I want to ban this from being in headlines. This is
but wait.
We
don't
know
lazy.
any of this.
All you do is just you cut corners. You're not like Wendy's. This is ridiculous.
Stair 2 is up and running, and Stair 1 has been installed and is ready for concrete, and the west tunnel walls are complete. The last tall wall pour has been scheduled. The last tall wall pour, guys. We're going to be done with tall wall pours.
Jack,
So-
we don't
so
know what
big.
any of this means. This is not our department, okay? Overhead mechanical engineering and plumbing and insulation of piping coordinated closely.
Exactly.
I don't know. That's just a bunch of words thrown together. Like, I don't know what any of that means, okay? It doesn't indicate where it is or anything. I would like to hereby ban all this stadium talk from headlines until it is like really meaningfully finished.
I just saw an update. I had to do it because I know how much you guys love the construction terms. I'm not going to push back against a ban.
Kenny, what do you think?
I'm just more worried about the Vanderbilt one because that's what Jack really cared about that one season. All he could talk about was
I did the construction site. They held a scoreboard from cranes. It was insane.
Have you seen it? It actually looks pretty nice.
It does
I
look
like
very
that.
nice.
It looks
yes,
like the South
Miami
End Zone
Park.
facility quite
Yeah,
a bit at Mizzou.
It's very. They did a good job. So that's
Yeah,
why we
thank
should get excited because Furrow will probably look real sweet when it's done.
All right,
Tall
can
wall
we move on?
pours. Look at that. The Rock
Furrow's
M
the
Club
field.
Earth
That's
removal.
the turf is Furrow. Stadium
Sorry,
is
Memorial Stadium.
Which is why when you scroll up, if you'd scroll up there, Kenny, it's called Memorial Stadium Centennial Project. That's
Should we click the
headline.
live cam?
No, there's nothing to look at right now. We're looking at. All right.
Oh,
Look at that. It's still being built. You can go take a look. Wow, that car is like so enamored.
Why is that
it's
car?
just
Why is
sitting
that
there
car
looking.
stopped? Why is that car stopped on the street?
Oh, because Kenny didn't actually
Oh,
start
you
the
have to
live
start
stream.
it. This might crash the recording, because there's so much activity going on that it might crash it.
Look,
There
there
it
it is. It's the
There it
exact same as the still, just without the car. This is really good. I'm glad we're talking about this.
I
It's
can't
gonna
do this when
look
this.
so cool when it's done, but we do not. None of us are construction.
car!
experts. It's a car. Look at you two like dogs. Oh man, car gotta chase. Can we move on? Yeah,
Kenny's
Kenny, you're
talking with
muted.
his
We
mic
can't
mute.
hear
There's
you.
another car. There's 2 cars. 3 cars.
You're
Oh my
muted,
God.
Kenny. You're muted. We can't hear you.
He's just counting the cars muted.
7,
He's-
8,
8, 9. The other way.
10.
That one has a camper.
Ooh.
Do you think he's camping in Memorial Stadium at the construction site?
That's a dumb
No,
question.
Jack, I don't.
Oh, you got a joke for us?
This one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. What kind of music should you listen to while fishing?
Whatever kind you listen to while also working on the Memorial Stadium project.
Nope. What is it, Kenny?
Something where they play the bass
Gosh, guys, come on here.
Bass music.
bass music.
Oh, bass music. Okay, that's actually decent. No, you should play something catchy.
I like ours better, actually, Kenny.
I don't, and neither does to the Today Show.
Whatever. That's the show. We'll be back on Friday. On the week of July 21st, they completed the level 3 Area B steel metal deck pour. They completed that on July 21st. That's all done. Isn't that cool, Payton? It's so cool. All right, that'll do it for the show. We'll be back on Friday. We'll talk linebackers. And I am not fired. Don't listen to the banner. The banner lies. I am not fired. I am not fired. Jack is not fired. It doesn't say breaking, so it doesn't have the same meaning. We'll be back on Friday. We'll talk linebackers. Might be the new #1 position for our position rankings. So stay tuned until then. Subscribe on the YouTube. Go follow us on TikTok too. We're going to have more TikToks, especially when the season starts. Inbox Jack is fired. All right. See you guys later. Bye.